This person still thinks about you, more than they would like, more than they admit to anyone. They feel the urge to write, to reach out, to ask how you're doing, but they freeze, swallow their impulse, pretend they've forgotten, but they haven't forgotten. The desire still lives, even if it's hidden beneath layers of silence and pride. This person feels it, in their body, in their dreams, in the songs you don't even know they listen to, but they're ashamed of what they did, of what they said, of how they acted when all you wanted was their presence. They keep reliving the scenes, trying to find some justification for their own absence, but deep down they know they were wrong, and have no idea how to fix it. You haven't left their mind, let alone their heart. But this person is afraid of looking weak, afraid to admit how much you still matter, because if they open up, they'll have to face the possibility of hearing, "Now it's too late," so they hide, they disguise it. They distance themselves as if it were a choice, when in reality it's cowardice. They do everything to appear fine, but they carry you in every detail of their daily life, in a scent, in a place, at a specific time of day, when everything feels heavy and their chest tightens. This person wishes they could go back, but they're afraid of not knowing how to be welcomed anymore, because they know they've hurt you, and they doubt whether you would still have space for everything that wasn't said. Have you felt this too? That urge to go back, but frozen by the shame of what was done? And if you realize something, remember, no one is more afraid of going back than someone who still truly desires. You know, even if you don't say it out loud, even if you try to move on, even if you distract yourself, keep busy, fill your life with noise, deep down you've already noticed, this person still desires you. It doesn't matter the time that has passed. It doesn't matter the last message. It doesn't matter the silence that dragged on for weeks, months. The desire remains, and it's in a place they no longer know how to reach. It's in a corner that refuses to die. Because it's not just a desire for flesh, it's something denser, more intertwined, more rooted. This person remembers, but doesn't share, observes, but doesn't come closer, feels, but stays silent. Not for lack of wanting, but from too much shame. Yes, shame. Shame for what they did. Shame for how they treated you. Shame for confusing pride with courage. Shame for thinking they could lose you and still find peace. They realize this now, but they don't have the courage to face their own reflection, let alone yours, because they know what they did. They know what they said. They know what they kept silent about, and they know that maybe they've lost something they won't find again. That's what hurts. It's not the longing. It's the hidden regret behind all the excuses they've rehearsed, behind the short phrases, the cold emojis, the "I'm fine" that never was. You feel it, right? This person walks around with this desire stuck in their teeth, with this regret lodged in their throat, with this constant fear of having gone too far and that you are no longer there because maybe you've changed, maybe you've moved on, maybe now the one who no longer wants is you, and that destroys them inside. Do you know why? Because this person thought they had time, thought they could play around with their feelings, that you would always wait, that eventually everything would resolve itself. But time doesn't wait. You didn't wait. Life moved on. And still, this person desires you in the silences, on random days. In that exact moment, something happens, and the memory rushes back, in a scent, in a song, in a piece of clothing, in a place you never got to go together, but they wish they had. They feel it without wanting to, feel it without control, feel it and pretend they don't. But you notice. Of course you do, because desire has a scent, tone, vibration, and even when it tries to hide, it leaks out. Have you ever felt this? Someone approaching with a distant body, but their eyes still glued to everything that hasn't been lived. This person hasn't moved on. She only learned to disguise her feelings, to be polite, to smile on the outside, to pretend that everything is fine, but inside her, it's not. Because it's not easy to live with the knowledge that she threw away something that still has life. Something that could have been intense, reciprocal, alive, but it was buried under the name end. She doesn't allow herself to admit it, but she dreams of you. Sometimes she wakes up in the middle of the night with your image so clear that she swears she heard your voice. Sometimes she finds herself looking for you on social media, even after deleting the conversations, even after blocking your number, even after swearing to herself that it was the best thing to do. Best for whom? She knows it wasn't best for her, Because the emptiness remains, her chest feels heavy, her breath tightens every time she realizes you're going too far away. And the worst part is that you're not doing anything. You're just living. You're just being yourself. You're just at peace. And that peace pulls you away from her in a way that no block could. Because nothing is more distant than seeing someone well, without us. Do you understand? This person would wish to send you a long message, to tell you she's really sorry, that she didn't want to do it that way, that she was wrong, yes, that she felt scared, yes, that she didn't know how to deal with her own confusion, but she doesn't write, not for lack of desire, but out of fear of not getting a response, or worse, of being met with the same indifference she once offered. So she remains silent, observing, suffering quietly, wishing for you in silence, trying to accept what cannot be accepted, the idea that you may have already gone for good. But has she really? Have you ever wanted to go back to someone but felt embarrassed by what you did? Leave a comment here. Maybe this text is just another warning that there is still something alive between you two, even if buried under many layers. If this touched you, right here, I needed to hear this, and share it with someone who needs to reflect on this right now. But first, look within and listen. This person still desires you, even if they look at you with a cold stare, even if they act with distance, even if they post calculated smiles and impactful quotes. Behind all of this, there is a cry for help, but they lack the courage to speak up, because they're unsure if you would still listen. And what about you? Would you listen? Or have you also learned to hide? Because that's a thing too. Sometimes, those who have been hurt learn to keep quiet, not out of coldness, but out of self-preservation. And maybe you've done that too. Maybe you missed the truth so much that now you're even afraid of the possibility of reopening. And this person feels it. They sense that something in you has shut down, that your gaze is no longer open, that your presence no longer resonates the same way. And yet, they desire this new you who seems more whole, but still carries something of them inside. Because yes, they sense that no matter how much you've rebuilt yourself, there's a space that they once occupied, and no one has filled it the same way. They want to come back, but they don't know how. They can't find the door. They don't understand the signs. They haven't forgiven themselves yet. And maybe, secretly, they're hoping you'll say, "Come, I'm still here." But are you still there? That's the question they ask themselves every day. And you've asked yourself that too, haven't you? If there's still space, if it's still worth trying, if what you both lived was real, or just another unresolved story. And it doesn't matter to say it was little, because little things don't leave marks. Little things don't resonate to this day in the memory field. Little things don't wake you up at night. So yes, it was real. And what is real doesn't just fade away, even when we try. Even when this person excluded you, ignored you, fell silent. Even when they were too harsh, too cold, too distant. It was just a defense, a poorly trained shield, a heart that learned to hide because it's been hurt before. This person didn't know how to cope with the intensity, with the commitment, with the possibility of being happy. Yes, some people don't know how to be happy. They get scared when they meet someone who doesn't play games, who offers pure love. And you were that. You were real. You were present. You were raw emotion. And that scared her. It scared her so much that she preferred to run away, to sabotage, to shut down. But now she wants to open up again, only she doesn't know how, because she's afraid of not being welcomed. She's afraid you might not be the same anymore. And are you? Or have you become someone new after feeling so much? Have you ever wanted to go back, but didn't have the courage? Comment here. I've felt that. Do you know what's stronger than regret? Silence. And the silence this person maintains is not light. It's not calm. It's full of muffled screams, full of unspoken words, full of gestures interrupted midway. Sometimes she picks up her phone to call you, but freezes. She stares at your name like someone trying to translate lost time, like she's begging for a sign, a gesture, a crack of hope. But you've learned to protect yourself. You've learned to stop insisting. You've learned to recognize when it's time to step back, and your absence hurts her more than any words could, because there's one thing she never imagined losing: your energy. And now that energy is missed. It's missed in her gaze. It's missed in her touch. It's missed in her inner world. She tries to move on, but she's only half-heartedly moving, because she realized too late that you weren't just anyone. You were shelter. You were a harbor, you were refuge, and she destroyed it all with her own hands, without even knowing why. Sometimes we sabotage what we want the most, out of fear, out of trauma, from carrying unresolved issues with other people. And then, when she meets someone like you, she gets scared. She pushes away. She says it's not the right time, that she needs space, that she doesn't know how to love anymore. But she did. She just didn't want to, or didn't have the strength to truly want it. Is it too late now? Only you can say. Because this person still desires. She desires with a racing heart, with an unsettled memory, with a heavy soul. But she's stuck, frozen, full of shame, full of doubt. What if you made it clear that you still feel something? Would she have the courage? Or have you also grown tired of signaling without a response? This is the crossroads. Someone desires but remains silent. Someone else feels but no longer hopes. Can you perceive this? This invisible movement, this presence that still lingers, this vibration that never died. It's still there, hidden, weak perhaps, but alive. Because when desire is real, it doesn't die. It just changes tone. And even in silence, you feel. Have you ever felt that someone still wanted you but didn't know how to come back? Then write, "I've noticed," or "I feel it too." That person still desires you, but they no longer have the courage to be wrong. And you? Will you have the courage to be honest with what still lives inside? Or will you keep pretending you've moved on? While every sentence here seems written just for you, will you continue pretending you've moved on? Even feeling all of this in your chest, even realizing how this absence is still full of presence, because yes, and that person is still there, in memory, in body, in the frequency of the things you try not to remember, but you feel, and that's why you can't just move on, because what you shared, no matter how brief it was, touched parts of you that no one else could reach. It showed you versions of yourself you didn't even know existed, and even if it hurt, you know, it was real. That person still desires you with the same longing as before, but now mixed with guilt, mixed with nostalgia, mixed with doubt. They sleep wanting you to dream of them. They wake wanting you to think of them. And it's not madness, it's connection. This connection that, even when hurt, has not been broken. It's just suspended, formless, wordless, bodiless. But it is. And maybe you desire as well. But you've learned to hide as well as they have. Maybe you refuse to admit it, so you don't allow yourself to be vulnerable again, to not feel again all that you tried to bury, to not open again a space where once you were hurt. But notice, her desire today is different. It's no longer that reckless desire. It's not impulse, it's not neediness, it's weight, it's regret. It's the pain of someone who realized the value of something only after losing it. She wanted to tell you, but she's afraid of seeming weak, afraid of seeming needy, afraid of seeming like that person she once swore she wouldn't be. And that's why she stays silent, pretends to be mature, pretends that she's okay, but the truth shows in her eyes, in her posts, in the way she avoids talking about you but can't stop observing you. And you feel it. It's noticeable, even if no one talks about it, even if friends say it's over, even if logic says it was for the best. You feel it, because presence can't be faked, and absence can't be disguised. And the worst part is that now she's aware. She knows exactly where she went wrong. She knows how much she demanded from you, how much she expected you to accept everything silently, how much she tested your patience, your commitment, your ability to stay. And you stayed until you couldn't anymore. You stayed when you were already tired. You stayed when you had already lost yourself. You stayed trying to save something that only you carried. And still, this person desires you. It's not easy to admit. For her, it's impossible. But she desires you, with her body, with her soul, with all the memories that can't erase you. Sometimes she stands still, staring into nothing, remembering the sound of your laughter, the way you pronounce certain words, that look you had when you tried to hide that you were upset, the way you said goodbye without wanting to leave. She remembers everything, even what seems too small, because when regret hits, everything becomes a memory. Even silence turns into a remembrance. Even what wasn't said becomes weight. She wishes she could go back in time, do things differently, listen to you more, look at you better, touch you with less haste. But time doesn't turn back, and she knows. What she still doesn't know is whether you would allow her to come back now. And would you allow it, even with fear, even with doubt? Would you open up again, or is it too late? Have you ever experienced something similar? Have you ever felt too ashamed to ask for forgiveness? Comment here. I know what that's like. Or just write, I've been there. Because this isn't just a text, it's a mirror. And maybe you're seeing things you didn't want to see, but that have lived in you for far too long. And if that person came back now, with everything left unsaid, with everything not experienced, with everything silenced, would you listen? Or would you move on without looking back? She desires you, but now she desires cautiously. She desires with longing, she desires with respect, with a type of love that may have only been born after losing you. And no matter how much she doesn't say, she's pleading for a chance to be different. Maybe she'll never find the courage. Maybe she'll die with that unspoken desire. Maybe she's run out of time. Maybe you don't feel it anymore, but if you do, don't pretend you don't. Don't throw away what is real out of fear of appearing fragile. That person still desires you, but the choice to open or close has always been yours. Comment a heart if this resonated with you. Share this video with someone who needs to realize what still lives in silence. And if this touched you, the next one will touch you even more. Share with those who need this. Comment what you felt, subscribe to the channel, and leave a like.